Yeah, so that is swatting. Body shop operations, where body parts and the body is manufactured. Paint shop operations for painting and protecting the body. A chassis line for integrating the steering, wiring harnesses, and the drivetrain, as well as the brake system. And then the trim shop where we integrate the floor, the applications, air conditioning, glass, and all the other closures. And we do the first start of the vehicle. And finally, it's taken on to carry out a range of tests in the testing line and the test track. This vehicle plant is designed for a capacity of 5,000 vehicles a year at full operation, and this triples down to 22 vehicles coming off the line a day. The cycle through the line is typically 14 days from the time you start building the body and frame to the time when the vehicle has completed the tests. In terms of facilities that deliver the capabilities over the 100 acres of land, I would like to first give us a bit of perspective. So the north is that side. So that becomes the west, the east, and the south. So we have set up over 55,000 square meters of production spaces in 3 core buildings. This building, because it covers a number of functions, we call it the production facility. And that is the building you see across. It's about 7.5 acres of space. And in this space, we have 4 core functions. Body manufacturing, then we have protection, coating of the body and frame, and painting. Then we have chassis systems integration, and then we have the portion where we have warehousing. So those are the functions which are in this facility. Then the building where we are is this facility right here. This is a complex structure because it has a couple of functions. We have the trim line. As I said earlier, in the trim shop, we do integrate air conditioning. We do all the applications, whether it is interior applications like the infotainment, boom lights, charging ports, the exterior like wipers, lights, marker lights, and so on and so forth. But we also do, there is a full capability for carpentry, for working on the floor, and we also do the actual calibration, the electronic calibration of the system once it has been mechanically put together, and they do the first start of the vehicle. And then the vehicle moves out and it's brought to this area here where we have the quality inspection and testing facility, which is the building right over there. So the other functions here, which some of them are typical to all the buildings. We have offices for administration and support, but we also have R&D offices. We have a solar plant, we have restrooms, we have a cafeteria, and an infirmary, amongst others. That is also characteristic of all of those other facilities. There will be similar facilities, maybe not at the scale in which they are in this particular building. In the quality inspection and testing, we run a range of tests. There are tests for axle loading, there are regulations for how heavy, how much weight can be on a single axle of a commercial vehicle. We have side slip, we have speed tests, we have brake tests, we have wheel alignment, light alignment, we have a rainwater test. We do inspection, we will see the pits for inspection. We are setting up a paint repair booth, a comprehensive paint repair booth, because as you have gone through the building operations, you may scratch the body after it has been painted. Sometimes as you tighten the bolt and nuts, you may scratch the frame, and we wouldn't want the vehicle to go out when it already has initial paint of failure. So we have a repair point here, we have a rainwater booth, and we have a washing machine. And then we have a test track on this side of about 1.1 kilometers, which is supposed to be equipped with a number of conditions that are typically found on the road. You will have potholes, you will have mud pads, you will have gradients, amongst others, to enable you to do the dynamic tests on that facility. We have a number of utilities, including the roads, the fence. We have a wastewater treatment plant. We have water reservoirs, which give us up to 1 million liters of water reserved here. In the future, we are setting up a manpower development and skilling center where new staff are given orientation, but also when we have upgrades to the models, the section leaders are actually taken over to be oriented. And then we also intend to put up some accommodation and social amenities, including a hospital, a daycare, a grocery store, and a number of recreation facilities to support up to 200 employees with their family, giving capacity for 700 people staying here. Now, at full capacity, this plant is expected to employ over 2,000 people directly and impacting over 14,000 people with a wide range of employments in so many other sectors, whether it's logistics, whether it's healthcare, whether it's in catering, amongst others. Those capabilities will be derived from establishing this complex. To bring this project together, we must note that this government is the principal shareholder of Kiira Corporation, and government has invested as the sole investor in the construction of this plant, which is something we're so proud of, that actually as Uganda we can invest in developing this project. So far to a tune of just north of $90 million US, and we're still working to bring on board other investment to realize all the different capabilities. And right now, that investment is overseen by the Honorable Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation in the Office of the President. The brick and mortar is handled by National Enterprise Corporation, which is the business arm of the UPDF. And right here, I have two of the leaders, and I would wish them to come so that people can see. I have the Lieutenant Colonel Wilbrod Mwezi, who's in charge. So he's our host this morning. Lieutenant Colonel Wilbrod Mwezi is the top administrator of this site. So issues to do with security, logistics, ensuring stores are kept well, the welfare of the over 500 staff that they are hired, they are employed here during the construction stage, with over 50 of them coming from the community, doing work ranging from electrical installation, masonry, carpentry, as well as tending the lawn. As we're moving around, you may see some ladies who are ensuring that the grass grows properly. Prior to this, they will stay at home and wait for the husband to come back at home, and they negotiate on salt and fish and things like this. But now when they go back home, they have something in their pocket, and they are real partners in the marriage, which is the impact that is already being created. Not to mention that a lot of the materials sourced locally, like marram, hardcore, sand, are also sourced from within the locality, and that is impacting the community directly and very well. We have the site engineer, or the person who's in charge of the technical work. That is Major Engineer, is a registered engineer, so he's qualified to do his work. Major Engineer Geoffrey Kaima. These are officers in uniform who are competent to ensure that what you're seeing here comes together. Our technology partner is China High-Tech Corporation from the Republic, the People's Republic of China, a state-owned enterprise in China, and they're supporting us to ensure that we have the right technology that is appropriate for our need, and that we gain we have the know-how and the technology transfer to help us move to where we will be going. The work has been, the plant has been designed and is supervised by technology consultants at Makerere University. Technology consult is a cocktail of scholars, professors, and other scholars in the university who have been responsible for not only designing this, providing the detailed technical specification, but also supervising it to deliver what they used to teach. In the past, we used to say that Makerere University It's an ivory tower, but now we see that the things that they are teaching the students, they can actually bring it. So Uganda is really moving, I do believe, where it should be going. Perhaps not fast enough, but this is a good start, and we should be able to move forward. With your permission, Honorable Minister, we would maybe take one or two responses, and then we can start the call.
Sure.
Any responses to the brief?
I think they need to be specific. Tell them some questions maybe can be taken.
It could be comments, questions, comments.
Yeah, about just the plans.
About the brief.
Okay.
Please.
If I may ask, because the question I'm going to ask is what is in the public? Do you manufacture, do you assemble? Make it clear.
Now, I am going to show you what assembly is in a very simplistic way. These are two parts. Assembled. Okay? Now, I will pause on the issue of manufacturing when we get to the frame, and then we will conclude that matter. And you'll be able to tell me whether the frame is assembled, or manufactured, or fabricated, or made, or produced, or laid. Yeah, there are several questions around that. But we will solve.
My counter question is, I wish to understand why people want to know the difference. Why do they emphasize whether we are manufacturing or what's underlying?
The reasoning behind that question is, if you are assembling, maybe you're not doing much. You're picking materials here, weld and
but when you weld,
show.
you are assembling. Welding is not an assembly operation.
That is the logic.
So that means we are not capable of much.
Yes, that's the logic.
We are not capable of much as Ugandans, and so
We do very little.
we do very little.
Yeah.
That is the mindset behind. Well, I think for me, then we will never answer that question. Because if people think that if I think that we as Ugandans, we are not people, then the problem is in my head. Because when you say we are not capable, you are part of us. But I wish, as in Senator, to exclude myself from that group, because we are capable of a lot. Now, I usually ask people, do we assemble meat soup or do we manufacture it?
Was this building assembled or manufactured?
Or manufactured, yeah. This building, is it assembled or manufactured?
Does it matter?
It comes from a person with an inferiority complex.
Let me help him. When that car, which you said lime green, came out, the first massive publication said, how can this professor make that car? He can't even produce a needle. Is not where the mindset is coming from. Yeah. But before that, what used to happen when the colonials, you were not here, your fathers were here. I was then in primary. The cars we had in this country, Corsair, which was the other one?
For sure.
This and all those which were coming from Britain, they were packed in boxes like this.
All parts.
All parts. And then brought here. That this is what he was trying to explain now with his phone. That then the people here would come and put those parts together. That's all that was known in this country. But I think come 2011, we departed from that. We said we have that potential in our heads. Let's demonstrate it. And that is what we saw there. So please help explain to the people when you go back that
and I wanted to add something there.
yes,
When Rwanda first started,
the batteries.
the batteries, it was assembled.
Yes.
but has gained capital and he started to make them. So what would Ugandans want? You know, initially he started because he didn't have capital. I'm sure all of you were here when Murwana was starting. He started by assembly. Now, even if we're just assembly, for me it is worth the start. Because it means that what we were buying before, now we have learned how to do it, now we're going to do it ourselves. It is worth the beginning. And I think you as a media, you should really do a lot of work to educate our public. That they should not try to water down what Ugandans, fair Ugandans are doing, even if it were, let's agree that it is assembly, it is worth the beginning. So that we still have something that comes from here. And once made here, we will have employment, we'll have people gain understanding what they used to think is impossible, they will think it is possible. Even if we're importing the battery before, time will come, we'll make one. Even if we're importing the engine before, time will come when we make our own. That is worth the beginning. I think that's what you, the media, is to do.
And we will add a few things. When we now go, and I will let you answer the questions for yourselves.
My question is very simple. I want to relate. As you've said, talked about it, I want to know that difference that could be here and someone who has a workshop in Katwe, whom they bring the trailer and then builds it, and then even finishes it. That's what makes this one that they should be investing that much into it.
I will give you 3 terms. Job shop operations, batch operations, mass or series operations. The person in Ikatwe, in a small room like that, will build maybe a trailer for 6 months a year. Okay? That operation makes money. And maybe the demand he has is for 1 trailer a year. So we shouldn't undermine them. Okay? What we do now that is job shop. You do a job at a time. You're doing a job. That's what we call job shop operation. And they're doing valuable work. It is just that the scale of the operation and the throughput may not respond to the demand that facilitates wider industrialization. So for him, it's going to be very difficult for him to interest people upstream to invest in making more of those components so that we have the industrialization story of the monkey in the forest, from this tree to this tree. That's how you get where you're going. And that's what we want to see in this country. What we do currently in Nakasongola is the batch operations. Someone tells us they want 5 buses Tondeka, okay? We set up some form of semblance of a production line with specialties, okay? The welding line is a welding line, the chest line, and it goes through that, you know, the different stages of the welding of the frame and body. Then you go to the paint shop operation. But this is not a specialized space. You're doing a batch. Again, the space you don't need is a lot. And this batch, when you finish, there may not be a next batch. But always you agree that for me to commit to doing that work, there is a minimum order quantity. Okay? Now what we have set up here is a proper production line. We are talking about at full capacity 22 vehicles a day. You know, employing over 2,000 people at full production. This is a scaled operation where we are thinking about real industrialization. And that's where we start seeing this, the different sections. When you go, for example, to the body shop, you'll find a section where for them they only deal with plain sheets. That is what they deal with. Another section where they deal with round pipes. That is all they deal with. Another one they deal with the tubular, this type, sections. That is all they deal with. Because now the operation is at scale, you have to specialize. You cannot be a jack of all trades. You're the painter, you're the one who integrates chassis systems. You'll never build anything. You will build 1 bus in a year. Now what this enables you to do is to start then seeing how you can deliver your throughput of 22. Start saying, I do not want to bend pipes here. So someone, when we see that frame, it has like 12 roof pipes which are bent. That operation of bending pipes is a specialized operation, which doesn't need to be. So another factory will be set up somewhere to bend what?
Pipes.
So that I receive them here, already bent, and I start on my welding line. Then another one will be doing aluminum molds for me. Another one will be making tires. That is how you achieve industrialization. It does not necessarily mean the only reason the person in Ikatwe may not be doing the content that is done here could be political issues. They may not be using the right technology. Not so. But they can also actually use the right technology if they so wish, though it may not be viable, because you're not going to get a computerized bending machine, you know, for one vehicle in a year. And actually, when you go to Katwe, you find that there are so many people who helped that man to build that truck. There is someone who has a bending machine there. There is someone who has a shearing machine there. There is another one who has a drilling machine there. So so it's the scale of the operation, and of course also the appropriateness of the technology. And when you come back later on, when the production line is in and we give you a tour, you will see when we start talking about the appropriateness of the technology. We can move the vehicle from the other building to this building by pulling it or lifting it. You can't do 22 buses like that. So we are having an automated guided vehicle. You just guide it to load, you get on your remote control and it moves the car, delivers it. That way, your workers will continue working even when they are 60 years old. If they are busy lifting vehicles and so on and so forth, after 1 year, they all have broken backs. I think I've attempted to give you
and
an
part of the evidence
response.
is here, you see, and see.
So that is where they receive these sheets.
Yeah, so that's where they receive and then prepare them for the different parts. Some of those parts are vents because they are the point where there is the air coming in for ventilation and things like that. This side, through that door, we receive the pipes, the ball pipes, and start processing them. In the middle right there, we have the welding line. The welding line. So for the bus, we first make the master parts of the frame as 6. And we will see the frame itself. We have the floor, we have the 2 sides, we have the roof, we have the front and rear. So there is a line for each of those master parts. But each master part could potentially have even up to 1,000 smaller parts, depending on what exactly it does. And I will gather show you. When you see that wiper blade, there is a pipe which is a part which you have to prepare into the frame to be able to hold the shaft for the wiper blade. That is a part. Where the shocks sit, there is a plate on which so those mounting points, and so on and so forth. And we will see, and you'll see these things. And my friend will really see that when someone gets a 6-inch plate and starts cutting it in a perfect circle, and it drills the necessary holes for joining, and then welds it on the bus, it is unlikely that under normal circumstances you can call that an assembly operation. There is a lot of intellectual application to do that and going to school to do that. And finally, when you ask someone to install your SC, which is actually an assembly operation, it is not mere assembly. There is a lot of going to school for you to know how to integrate the SC into a vehicle so that it will work. You know, even which part goes where. Yeah. So where we are here is part of the paint shop, which is mainly side with over 30 booths. We will start with 8 booths, then we will keep scaling up until we get there. These booths, different operations. There is just pre-cleaning the acids and all that to ensure that there is no dirt that is deposited. Then we start sealing, then some panel beating, application of putty, then we put the primer, then from there the undercoat, then the intermediate coats, then the final coat. Then if you are going to do decoration, like when Tondeka came to us, they wanted the decorations to be paint decoration, not sticker. Paint decoration, yeah, it only gets spoiled, maybe accident and things like that, but once you paint it's etched there, it's okay. So we also have a section for that to do that, and then baking ovens, and then the vehicle comes out, and in that bay we see over there, through those doors is where we have a U line, which is the chassis line. So most of the time actually on the street people think that the chassis is actually the frame of the vehicle. But when we talk about chassis systems in the automotive space, we are referring to 3 power systems: the steering system, the brake system, and the suspension systems. Those are the chassis systems. Now, why other people call it chassis like that? Is because because especially in Kenya now, they bring a rolling chassis, meaning that you have the floor frame integrated with the drive components. The entire drive train is there, steering, brakes, as in you can drive it alone. And I've even seen them sometimes being driven in here in Kampala from Entebbe. They drive that only chassis with just like a cabin for the driver. But the chassis, in principle, refers to those 3 systems. So the chassis line.
So for you, where are you getting the chassis?
We are getting them from different suppliers. One of the, for example, the differential unit. One of the best suppliers of differential units is ZF.
Then the other one?
The steering system, you will find that also either ZF, Wabuko. But all of ours are being sourced through our technology partner in China. However, you will find that the technology partner in China also does not make these systems. They also source. Why we work with them is for us, we are ordering for a few units. So if we went to ZF and asked for a differential unit, 10 pieces, they don't. There is a minimum order quantity for you to go to ZF. Now for them, because they make 20,000 units, so they can go and buy 20,000 units from ZF
and give you your
and they give us our 5.
Like
that is how the global supply chains.
They buy engines from
Rolls-Royce. Yes.
Whether you make it in China, wherever you make it, whether Europe, Rolls-Royce just makes engines for.
That is what they do.
And that's part of why, because Ugandans, we are not really used to industry. That is why people ask those questions.
Yeah.
Because the manufacturing processes going to take place here are the same ones that take place at Toyota. They are the same ones that take place at Nissan. It's exactly the same. All manufacturers source parts from suppliers. That's why there are companies that only make parts. But here, when we talk like that, people want to make it like what we're doing is inferior. And as Paul has talked, why is this important? Why is this important? It is so important because each aspect he has talked about there creates jobs.
Yeah.
It creates jobs for Ugandans. In other countries, which they call developed countries, they have so many industries that their people don't have a problem finding jobs. You're just choosing which kind of job I want to do. Now, the reason we don't have jobs in Uganda is because we don't have industries. And when we started having some industries, the industries have increased the number of people. You'll find that here, there are engineers employed, electricians, computer scientists, welders, carpenters.
People who are into sewing,
tailors and designers. We have then you come now to the support, the painters, machine operators of all kinds. Then you have administrators and the business, and then you have marketing, then other support services that come with that. That's why just having a factory like this, the people on site, those are jobs, and these are quality jobs. These are good quality jobs. Then you will have, much as we bring in some things from out, there are things we bring in from other factories inside in the country. So you're providing market also, and so indirectly you're creating jobs that way also. For example, he talked about when he wants, if he can have somebody bend pipes. Now, that person who is bending pipes has orders, so he can now provide jobs. This is how industrialization creates jobs. Yes.
Absolutely.
So by the time this actually automotive industry is referred to as the industry of industries. So, for example, you imagine we are making, you say 22 buses here per day. Each of those buses needs car seats. We need bus seats. So since we don't want to do that here, we'll have to contract somebody to make just the specialized in making seats for the bus. Now
the one you came with had how many?
Had how many seats in there?
45, 49.
How many computers are in that bus?
Over 100.
There are over 100 small computer units in that bus. Now we'll have someone set up a facility to make those computers to put, and that's now another industry that is going to thrive because they are supplying to this one. So an automotive factory like this is an off-taker. It's an off-taker for so many. We use bamboo tiles on the floor of the bus. So we need someone somewhere to put up a facility that makes bamboo tiles. You imagine many of the parts. So there is a statement that he keeps talking about, say, localization. Localization means the parts that we are currently importing, can we build the capacity also to make them here? Why do we want to make them here? One, they will take in our raw materials. And that means now you've created another line. Let's say bamboo. If somebody is making the bamboo tiles here, now there will be farmers who are growing what? Bamboo. And they are going to have market. And now then the people who process the bamboo into the raw bamboo products. And then those will supply the ones who are making the tiles. So at each of those we have jobs. So the main reason why we don't have jobs is because we have not supported this kind of things. Just putting up this factory here, we don't even need to go and put up the other ones. They'll just come up because there's market.
Because they have market there.
There is market here.
They need 22.
And so our young people...
Production for 22 buses.
22 buses.
The tiles alone, the cushions alone.
The 5.2 ton of steel for the frame.
When you think about the market already.
So that is how science, technology and innovation, for it doesn't grow the economy like that, the way Jaja said. It grows the economy.
So, Honorable Minister, to just get a feel of the extent, we are going to walk this way and then walk that way. You've seen when people even paint your burglar at home and there are inclusions on the surface. After a while, because there is air, it starts coming off. That is even better. But sometimes you just punch that thing with a finger and it was a metal, but now it's like a sponge. Because those inclusions are very deadly. Oxidation and so many other chemistries going in there.
They will damage the bus.
Yeah, the surface will be damaged. So we need clean water, which we use for the
So
production.
this is like the one we drink.
Yeah, this is like the one. It's typically supposed to be potable water.
All mine is about mitigation of risk, like you said. In your production, if the challenge could be water, because national water is not supplied, how are you mitigating that?
That's now why you have a reservoir. So you keep the water here, 1 million liters. In the initial operation, it can support us for 3 days, even when there is an interruption.
Then you start
But
manufacturing.
when we are at full operation, we need a reservoir of 4.2 million. And why am I saying this? There is science behind the investment. Every investment has a science. Now we have this guy here. Is it your question?
Yeah.
This one is the wastewater treatment plant. We are very highly regulated. And all my state enterprises, the regulations are steep like this. There are things which people can get away from, but here you can't get away.
Bishop, I was the chairman of NEMA. I insisted.
These days, presidents are finding it fashionable to sit or even drive electric cars around the world, including the one of the United States and China. The president of the Republic of Uganda was the first president anywhere in the world to be driven in an electric vehicle on the 24th of November 2011. No one is celebrating that. Uganda is the one country on the African continent to have the highest number of electric bus miles covered on the continent. Uganda, check. So are we moving properly? That was your question.
Yes,
For us, we are moving properly. We've developed a product.
Are we on the right track?
We are moving. We are
So far
moving.
what you have seen, are we on the right track or wrong way?
You see, Bishop,
Now we are
when we
multiplying
traveled in that
seed.
bus in the morning, yes, we said, let's see, let's see. And when we arrived safely and all the facilities are good, we said, yes, this is a Ugandan. Yes, we did. Yes.
Wi-Fi.
Yes. So we have to say we are happy. We are grateful.
My appeal to you, media.
Yes, Bishop.
Let me appeal to the media.
Yes, Bishop.
You see what is happening. What is happening in our country normally
Yes.
is that media, you are the ones who educate the public,
Yes, sir.
and it is very, very important that you educate them with truth
Yes.
and with knowledge and understanding.
Yes.
Because sometimes media brings in their bias,
Oh, yeah.
and somebody just comes in with this bias, and then you print, and people believe you. But now that you are here, my request to all of you, take this, explain it to the public, because they don't understand much of this engineering terms and what and what. But put it in the language they can understand. Put it in the language you understand that children don't jump from being born to running.
No.
There's no way one particular factory can produce everything at once, but at least appreciate the beginning.
Yes.
Even those big countries which make aeroplanes, for example, I was referring to Rolls-Royce, the only one which makes what? Engines. So what these people who make aeroplanes realize when will I ever get to the standard of Rolls-Royce, who has done it so many, I don't need to make engines. I'll just buy an engine and maybe other parts, but they start. So for me, I'm appealing to you, the media, so that you really get the gist of the whole thing. You understand it has been a challenge to get funding. It's very difficult. For example, some of you are now more educated about this than all the members of parliament. Yet they're the ones who pass the budget.
Oh, yeah.
You imagine the struggle you have to go through to even explain all this when they haven't seen it.
Yes.
Do you see the problem?
Yeah.
But when you paint the picture, every other time you bring it up and you explain, because this is very good for us as a nation. And you know the struggles, the battles, what the public needs to learn from you, what you've seen. Don't look at the problems, look at the solution. What is it that we can now get out of this? We know you're experiencing this hardship, but what can we get over that? You can't easily produce 10 vehicles or buses, you said, when you don't even have the funding to do. Because you need to move this quickly. Since you have one or two, let that suffice and let the thing start. so that now so that not be an obstacle. You say now we have seen what can be done. Let's have it running and let this have it.
And by the way, when I first came here in 2021, they were stuck with this building because there was no funding. There was no
wasn't done.
People were decampaigning it.
Yes. Because people are decampaigning it.
There's nothing.
Even me, I came here, I'm like, they have given me this ministry with this thing. But I've had so much. Yeah. So I came here. But because for me now, I came here and threw myself into it. Because for me, my interest is to see the country move forward. So we were able to make sure that we release all the funds that we had. We went back and asked for a supplementary, which has enabled us to put up. So most of the developments you see here have been in the past 2 years, from 2021. But from 2018 or whatever, they were struggling. They were just struggling.
But she cut off or cut down on her sleeping hours. 6 a.m.
You said this is the testing
Test track.
So where you were?
Why is it round? Because
So-
somebody could ask that question. Because if I'm testing my car, does it? Do I need to
test
test on a round?
different surfaces. And
If I were to just answer ordinarily, I would say, but if you go to any test track, they have rounds.
But I need to know.
But typically what happens is there is, even I've been on one of the biggest test tracks in North America, that is in Ohio. And the space is never enough. For them, they even test planes. So to optimize space, there is always a tendency of doing some rings so that you can circle back. But this ring also has a function. How do you handle certain spaces? Having soak pits here, which will not soak, we have a proper plant for treating wastewater. Yeah, so here waste is received. Then we have pH neutralization. You know, you have some acids, you have some alkalides, but blending and they don't use some other chemicals so that you have pH.
So you remove all the contamination from the factory, and then
And it comes
up
in
to the
a
level
first
where you
tank
can
is the pH neutralized.
safely deliver it.
Then it is pumped into the next tank, which is the precipitation.
to remove all the chemicals.
Yeah, so for the precipitation, the sludge settles down. And then this other water, which is now filtered water, comes up. Then the sludge, you leave it down and you pull it away. That sludge, for it, you don't dispose it. You pick it, pack up the sludge as briquettes, and then it is taken somewhere, mainly for incineration, or you put it in the landfill.
Okay.
So you have also to have another third party where they are
handle that.
either incineration.
Can
Please
you
write
mix it
about
somehow,
that. Make sure you write
chemistry,
accurately
turn
about
it into
So
fertilizer?
in essence,
And also,
this.
if it is possible, some of it can be turned into
So in essence, this factory is environment neutral.
it is the environment.
Well,
By the
if
time
not
the
even
water,
better.
interestingly, this water, this plant, we have this one which is already here about 565,000 liters a day. And so the total plant is 1 million, over 1 million liters a day of wastewater. Yeah, of wastewater. It has the capacity to deliver 1 million liters of water a day of wastewater.
For the
That
22
water,
vehicles.
for the 22 vehicles. That water is safe for drinking, but it's not good for the vehicles.
I think Honorable Minister Sam's question also extended to whether creation of industrial parks approves of environmental degradation, not rather the scientific part of dealing with the water and the degradation.
My answer to that is that when you look all over the world, New York is in the lake, all of these things. So you can construct literally anywhere. The question is, how do you construct them? What are the mitigation factors you put? Once you've said that this is an
Most
industrial
of
park,
Netherlands is
Yeah,
recovered
it's
from
below the
this.
law.
because before it's an industrial park, then you call it anything else. But once government says this is an industrial park, the next thing is that how do we develop it in compliance with the
environment.
You've seen our wonderful expressway. It goes through, you know, all of this, whatever. But it goes there well, Rebiji, Nabijura and so on, but it goes there properly. The challenge is if we didn't have that, and all the waste is just thrown, and here we have a small river.
Ends in the lake.
You know,
then you just pump it in the river.
So that would be the challenge. But with this, we are good. And the other thing we are doing, as you observe, is the areas which are already set, like in front of this building, the green, we are intentional about green. Very intentional.
So in the summary, the factory is going to have very minimal impact on the environment. And if not, it will even make it better.
All the effluent is treated before it is released. It has to be released when it is safe to join.
What would one need to turn that, how do you call it, sludge, to turn it into fertilizer?
Now this one, on the biological for it, yes. But again, because maybe some of it comes from the plant area where there could be a bit of oil, we may not encourage that this one we
even when they treat it chemically or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of how to make use of all that.
We continue doing the research on how to digest the oil. It takes a longer time. It can be done when you're dealing with few units.
For example, in Akasongola, we don't have a rain test booth. We use a fire truck. We blast water from a fire truck onto the vehicle. It achieves the purpose, but if you're producing vehicle after vehicle, that is not the way you do it. Even in terms of water, it's so wasteful, because here we recycle the water. There, once you blast the water, it goes. Much as it achieves the function, that it is just appropriate for that. It's not industrial. Right one. So let us move this way. Let us open the inspection pits are there. The other one will be spraying there. So the other one will do inspection and you also spray. One off, you do inspection, you wind up oily, things like that. As it comes out of the garage, there is wire under there. All of that can be fixed. And for a bus, this is important.
Nalaba mwenda tuna bagamba abiri batubulye date zinalyo nga
Franche kugunoa.